the best VCs in the next decade will be the global VCs that can figure out what are the strengths of each region and help other regions to benefit from the strength. We know founders from Sao Paulo, from Jakarta, and Bangalore go to China every year now, and they know how Meituan, how Didi are doing, and they learn from the lessons of Alibaba and Tencent to build sticky app, high frequency, and then a payment mobile wallet on top of that. So all of them are learning fast, and it's amazing to see how founders from different regions can benefit from learning from each other.
Sunshine, palm trees, bird chips, jeans, sneakers, and t-shirts. Welcome to Silicon Valley. San Francisco Bay Area is one of the most famous Bay Areas in the world. For decades, San Francisco Bay Area's Silicon Valley has been the world's innovation hub and dominates the world's venture capital scene. Venture capital has served as a stimulus for entrepreneurial and innovative activities. A decade ago, nearly 3/4 of the world's financing of innovative tech-heavy startups took place in the US. However, a recent study done by KPMG indicated that innovation has become decentralized globally. According to Crunchbase, China is ascending in the global venture capital game. It is rapidly becoming the land of unicorns and currently creating unicorns at almost the same pace as the US. Another new Bay Area is on the rise. As one of the most open and economically vibrant regions in China, the Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau Greater Bay Area has implemented a strategy to attract innovation and improve the entrepreneurship ecosystem. How's the Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau Greater Bay Area different from the San Francisco Bay Area? What is the economic outlook on both regions? What can they learn from each other? And what can the world learn from them? I found the perfect person who can answer all of these questions. Few investors have as deep a knowledge of both the US and Chinese markets as Hans Tung, managing partner of GGV Capital. He has been consistently ranked as one of the top venture capital investors in the world, most recently ranking number 7 on the Forbes Midas list. He leads the US operations of GGV Capital, a global venture capital firm with offices in the US, China, and Singapore. The investor is associated with 14 unicorns, and his portfolio includes Xiaomi, Wish, Xiaohongshu, Slack, Airbnb, and ByteDance. How did he get to where he is now?
Many of us who do VC in this generation are quite lucky. China has modernized itself greatly over the last 2 decades. The infrastructure built in China, whether it's internet access, whether it is high-speed rail, whether it's subway system, all that made it possible for internet services to grow. I think great entrepreneurs and founders like Jack Ma or Lei Jun or Pony Ma have done an amazing job of growing their businesses. As VCs, we're very fortunate to be riding this wave and be witnesses and supporters behind them to help them to grow. So we all benefit from the macro environment that's doing.
Needless to say, a large number of founders benefited from the macroeconomic growth in China. However, among so many different founders, how is Hans able to find the unicorns? And in his opinion, what types of founders are considered great founders?
What helped me to do well in this business is that GGV loves working with founders who are ambitious, hardworking, thoughtful, and also learn extremely fast. I think these great founders have a keen sense of where the future will be. Like for Lei Jun, back in 2010, he thought that China should have its own brand of smartphone, and the smartphone should be easy to use, constantly updated, and then be sold over the internet. And that was a different vision than most people at that time. So if you believe that vision makes sense, based on your knowledge of how the end user should behave, you will invest. Whether we invest in companies like Xiaohongshu in Shanghai, with Sharwin, who has a keen sense of users in China want to go out, buy great goods, come back, show off, and share what's the coolest new style they see, and be proud of what they know. That desire to show and learn is something that he really captured and come up with an app that worked out well. So every founder had that nugget of vision, and if you believe in it and you think that that's what makes sense for the future, and you know how consumers behave, it's something that gives us a lot of conviction to back them.
Your most recent podcast talk about the opportunities and challenges faced by overseas Chinese returnees, or 海归. It's very interesting. You talk about how you were born in Taiwan, moved to LA, and then went to school at Stanford, and then moved to Beijing. Why did you decide to go back to Asia, or China specifically? Did you have any culture shock?
I think after Stanford, for the first 10 years after college, I worked in New York, Hong Kong, Taipei, Singapore. In hindsight, great for me, because I studied what China could be like later in the first 10 years after college, and then decided to move to China and to Shanghai first in 2005 and to Beijing 2011. So I was in China on the ground for 8 years in the second 10 years of my life after college. And in the second 10 years, I was fortunate because all the lessons I learned about what China could be earlier become very relevant and helpful for me to take a bet, educate a bet on where China could be, and invest in companies like Xiaohongshu, Xiaomi, and Toutiao, etc. As someone who was born in Taiwan and grew up outside of China, there's always going to be some adjustments. And even for mainland Chinese who've been here in the US for over 10 years, when they move back, there's adjustments. So you just have to figure out a way to become more 接地气 and get there. And I did that by taking trains to tier 3, 4 cities to see what China's like beyond Beijing and Shanghai. And I spent time talking to the founder and just trying to understand their concerns and worries and try to help them solve them. By being willing to care and help, it was easy for me to bond with Chinese founders. I think having understanding of Chinese history, understand how countries and regions and companies compete and collaborate, also helped me to share better analogies that resonate with founders. So all in all, I think that anyone who's willing to make adjustments and working hard, the founders in China are very open and very merit-based. If you can add value, they're willing to work with you. So I actually find China very easy to do business as a result of it.
You started as an investment banker at Merrill Lynch, and then you went to private equity, and then you started a few of your own businesses before going to venture capital.
That's right.
Same here, actually. I was an investment banker at Merrill Lynch too, and then went into private equity. How did you find your true calling in venture capital? And I guess for a lot of young professionals, just like myself, what advice do you have for us, when we're facing career choices?
I think when I was in investment banking, I enjoy analyzing industries and figure out how to leverage tools of capital markets to help companies to grow. There are other people in investment banking who enjoy the deal making and getting big deals done. That was a different kind of motivation for me. I realized that I enjoy talking to a founder and analyzing industry and find a match between the best founder for the best market, kind of like a founder market fit. That's what always intrigued me. And in the context of doing that, I realized that in order to win, you need to have a great product market fit. So finding a new industry and look for what's the right founder market fit that could enable a product market fit later was something that I knew from early on fascinated me. As a founder, a co-founder of 2 internet companies, I realized that to make things happen, it's not based on numbers. It's based on a team having a vision and figure out a way to make that happen. Even sometimes when the industry was too early and the macro condition hasn't always been favorable. So how do you take advantage of whenever new opportunities come up and seize it? Requires people to learn, adjust very fast. Stuff that can have the biggest upside, very risky, but also very disruptive. So if it does work out, you make more than make up for the mistakes. If I work only on growth equity deals, I probably won't be very good because I will be taking way too much risk. So you have to find the right investor market fit as well. You find something that fits your personality and the way you think about things. And there's no right or wrong answer. I think there are different kinds of investors that can make money. You just need to know who you are and what's the best market fit.
In the past few years, we've seen a rise in the globalization of venture capital and startup activities. There has been a dramatic growth of startup ecosystems around the world, from Shanghai and Shenzhen to Mumbai and Bangalore to Toronto and Tel Aviv. Silicon Valley continues to dominate the global landscape, but the rest of the world is gaining ground rapidly. What does Hans think about the changes of innovation geography? What are the implications for investors and founders? Obviously, you have deep knowledge with both the US and Chinese markets. In your opinion, what value do you think each market brings to the global economy?
I think that in the past, Silicon Valley has been where many of the innovations get started. I think over the last 10 years, the amount of innovation we see in China continue to increase. Like an example with WeChat, the team in Guangzhou that has got a company that built a product that's a world class. And the way that WeChat, Alan and his team built WeChat, shook the perception of Chinese companies in Silicon Valley. And we see that China is capable of companies and teams like that. Many of them could be based in the Guangdong area. And for us, we also see that there's a technological diffusion that other cities beyond what we call the innovation centers of the world are also changing. We see a lot more companies and teams doing interesting things in New York, as well as in Sao Paulo in Brazil, Mexico City in Mexico, Jakarta, Indonesia, in Bangalore, Delhi, Mumbai in India. So the more that technology practices get spread, founders from many countries want to learn how founders in California and Silicon Valley and big in China and Guangzhou and Shenzhen have done it. So they want to learn, they want to grow, and we see many founders worldwide share very similar traits. We have done more enterprise investments than China in the past. Because in the US, more companies are going global and they need more services to follow them in each of the region they're in to require different customization and different support. So we see a lot of software companies being built in Silicon Valley that support growth of their customers going global. In China, we are definitely seeing that there are more enterprise investments coming up and opportunities. So our knowledge of U.S. enterprise market help us do better in China. At the same time, the China innovation and consumer over the last 10 years is unparalleled. So the knowledge that we have from investing in great companies like Keep, like Xiaohongshu, like Hello Denche, Meili, all that help us to make better consumer investments in the U.S. and other emerging markets like Latin America and Southeast Asia. For example, my partner GGV helped DB to invest in Grab, and so for Grab now is number one mobility as well as payment company in Southeast Asia, and they learn a lot from Ali and learn a lot from DB, which are both our portfolio. So I think the best VCs in the next decade will be global VCs that can figure out what are the strengths of each of the region and help other regions to benefit from the strength.
Right, that's very interesting. You talk about being global. You're a truly global citizen. As a global citizen, what is your outlook on Chinese economy and what impact you think that will have on other markets around the world?
When I first moved to China in 2005, growth rate was in 12-13% a year pace. Every year it has come down a bit slower. But that doesn't change the fact that internet side of things continues to grow. If you look at the growth of Alibaba and Tencent, even at the size they are today, they're still growing 30, 40, 50% year on year. So we think that internet will continue to have bigger impact on the rest of the economy. And overall, that's healthy for China to see that. And that lesson, how someone like Alibaba and Tencent can grow from 5 billion valuation in 2005 or 4 to now 400, 500 billion. That lesson was life-changing for us. And we're taking those lessons to help founders in other countries to grow as well. We know founders from Sao Paulo, from Jakarta, and Bangalore go to China every year now. And they know how Meituan, how Didi are doing. And they learn from the lessons of Alibaba and Tencent to build sticky app, high frequency, and then a payment mobile wallet on top of that. So all of them are learning fast, and it's amazing to see how founders from different regions benefit from learning from each other.
San Francisco Bay Area is one of the most famous Bay Areas in the world, with Silicon Valley being the global technology center for the past decades. Compared to San Francisco Bay Area's long history, the concept of Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau Greater Bay Area was only first mentioned in late 2016, and its outline development plan came out recently in early 2019. The Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau Greater Bay Area consists of 9 cities in Guangdong, as well as Hong Kong and Macau, with a combined population of approximately 70 million at the end of 2017. Could you share with us what are some of the similarities and differences you've seen in both regions?
The experience of Silicon Valley is that you have amazing universities such as Stanford and Berkeley. Having gone through Stanford in education, I can see that the school teaches students different lessons. Students and professors in the school are much more open to entrepreneurs, founders taking risks. You see that there is a reward for entrepreneurship, and constantly in class you hear about people teaching you to change the world with what you learn from here. So that culture makes it a lot easier to build the ecosystem of VCs, accountants, lawyers that all encourage the founders to take risk, and it's okay to fail. That's just good lessons for something that you will succeed at later. So that whole culture and ecosystem is conducive to founders taking risk and then make it big and go IPO and become a publicly traded company. So we see that's possible in the Guangdong, Hong Kong region, even when the not only do people take risk, but also willing to scale the company for IPO later. Historically, most of the founders in the Guangdong area are willing to take risks, but they're very low key. They don't go out and talk about what they do, and they make money quietly, and they don't want to brag. They don't take the company public and just enjoy the cash flow of the business they generate. But then you see companies like Tencent, you see companies like YY, Huya, and NetEase. These companies are hopefully changing the way the founders think and be willing to take risk. One of the most interesting companies we invest, that my partner Jixun led, is in Xiaopeng Auto. And the founder of Xiaopeng Auto is He Xiaopeng, co-founder of UC Web, that was sold to Alibaba. So first investment was interesting, build a browser for mobile era, got sold to Ali, and he decided to come out with encouragement from Jixun to build a great business that's world-class, that's in electric vehicle, but making a car very smart. It's impressive that over a 15-year period, how he changed from a co-founder, creator of a mobile browser, an app, to a car that's world-class, that's mission a Simpson as a Tesla. And that kind of change of mentality and ambition and desire to make a difference, make something big, is just transformational. It's the reason why we are excited to be VC backing founders like that. And we see that Guangdong region has a chance to have more He Xiaopengs. And so it has to continue to be open, encourage people from Shanghai and Beijing to move to Guangdong, enjoy the better weather, better food, and then take risks and make something. I think Hong Kong has great universities. So there's Guangzhou and Shenzhen Daxue is improving as well. So if all these universities encourage their students to take risks, to be founders, invite successful founders to come back and share their lessons, that'd be very helpful. I remember at Stanford, you see all the technology, semiconductor, internet founders come back to the campus. They talk about the experience. It inspires you to dream big and to take more risk and do more. That sharing of success stories is extremely influential in the growth of founders in their psyche early on.
What do you think each Bay Area can learn from each other?
Guangdong, Macau, Hong Kong Bay Area, Greater Bay Area can see that technology makes a huge difference. Hong Kong historically has been a great place for trading, for real estate. It's a place that knows how to make money, but building something that's disruptive, building something that's risky, building something that kind of burn cash flow and doesn't show a lot of profit early on requires different kind of orientation. So how do you build a different kind of company, take on different kind of risk, is something that as a region, you will need to continue to change.